All right, guys, welcome to our Thursday night team call. I am Kelsey, and I am really excited to be leading team call tonight and talking to you guys about boldly sharing your story. And to be honest, as I started thinking about this call, my first thought was, I need to find a podcast or like a YouTube video to listen to so I get some like knowledge to share. But then as I sat there thinking about it and like scrolling on YouTube through like Christine Dwyer's stuff and like other coaches, I'm like, you know what? I share my story. So I'm just going to tell you guys kind of how that process developed for me and go from there. So I'm going to give you guys I labeled it like things you need to realize about sharing your stories. There's 3 of those. And then I'm going to give you just 3 tips on how to get a little more bold in sharing your story. So I'll break it down that way. If you guys have questions as we go, obviously stop me or feel free to chime in if you have something to add or something that you also have experienced or anything like that. It does not need to be just me blabbering on, forever, particularly since at the time of this recording, there's only 3 of us on here, so we can be more interactive. All right, so before I dive into what you need to realize, I just want to tell you guys that sharing your story looks different for everybody because everybody's story is unique. And by story, I mean your life. It doesn't have to be your story with Beachbody. It doesn't have to be your story with your significant other or your family or anything like that. Your story is just pieces of your life. And you probably have lots of stories, but I know you'll hear, especially on national wake-up calls and things like that, people will say, well, tell us your story. Okay, well, that generally means where you were before you became a Beachbody coach or before you started living a healthier lifestyle or before you had a big epiphany in your life. So I just want to preface by saying that everyone's story is different and unique, so take this for what it's worth. The first thing you need to realize in sharing your story, and this will not come as a surprise, but no one expects you to be perfect. And your story, like literally everyone else on the planet, has highs and lows. So for some things in your life that probably feel like a highlight reel, they'll be easy to share because you have no shame or guilt about those things. It doesn't keep you up at night. Those are the good things that happen in your life. Or it's like a tiny mistake, but it turned out okay. Those are the things that come easily. But there are going to be parts that are harder to share than others, and those are the ones that maybe you haven't fully dealt with. It took you a long time to get over a particular issue. Maybe it's something that you still battle and you're still trying to figure out, so you hesitate to share those things that are maybe closer to your heart and maybe feel like more of a risk in sharing. And that being said, when you share your story in order to connect with more people or, find your tribe, you don't have to share anything that you don't want to. There's no rules that say you have to share every horrible detail of your life in order to connect with other people. Completely untrue. And as you continue to tell your story, it does get easier and easier. Heather and I actually talked about this today because she's helping to lead our sneak peek this month. And she texted me after she went live in the group and she said, well, guess it wasn't that hard to talk about myself 11 minutes later. Like, she was anticipating to only talk for like 4 minutes and then, be done. And I told her the more we do it, the better we get. So even though there might be things that today, this very day, you wouldn't want to share, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now, your life could look completely different. And what you are afraid to share now becomes so easy later on because you practice that. So number 1, understand no one expects you to be perfect. You don't have to share the highlight reel. You can share the real. Number 2, your story won't relate to everyone. And this, being a people pleaser right here, is something that, yeah, Brooke, you too, took me a long time to realize, because I'm like, oh, I want to relate to everyone. You know, I'm everyone's favorite person. Everyone gets along with me. Well, while that may be true, not everyone is going to relate to what you're talking about. So you don't have to feel like sugarcoating your story to make it more applicable to the masses, right? You don't have to water down something from your past just to make it seem like, oh, everybody, you know, deals with that. I feel like a lot of times if you know, read a magazine or something like that, there's articles that will say, everybody knows how it feels when, but it's a very watered down, you know, version of what they're going to talk about, because they are trying to appeal to a big crowd of people, whereas you are only trying to appeal to people who are like-minded to you and have experienced things that you have. Going along with not everyone will relate to what you're talking about, people that you know, that you're close to, your warm market people, they may give you some backlash for sharing stuff about your life. And that's because maybe they haven't dealt with what's gone on. They're embarrassed because of what you're talking about, or they were there, or they're a part of that story. So you might get a little pushback from people in your life, like, oh my gosh, why are you sharing that? Or I can't believe that you decided to tell people about that, whatever the scenario is. And for myself, I think of when I was in high school, I really, really, really struggled with my body image. And I kind of feel like, who doesn't? But I did, to the point of, like, I call it closet anorexia. So I was never diagnosed by a doctor, but I say closet because my friends didn't know, my parents didn't know, like the closest people to me had no idea that I was struggling with this. And that leads me into my next point, that if part of your story impacts others that are in your circle, if it's going to impact other people when you share it, consider talking to those people about it first and saying, hey, it's really on my heart to share this because it's part of, you know, me coming to terms with it or having closure with it or growth in my life. I feel like I need to put this out there for other people that are like me. If it's going to impact somebody else in your life, consider talking to them about it before you do that. I had to do that with my family. My parents aren't on social media. My brother is. And some of my best friends from high school, I'm still very close with, they have social media. And so I kind of went to some of those people that I thought would really care if I talked about that and just said, hey, FYI, I'm going to be talking about this. I just don't want you to be shocked. And I wanted to give you a heads up, you know, because you were there when this was going on. So just consider that again, you won't relate to everybody, but there are people that are part of your life who might be impacted by you sharing your story. So keep that in mind. Number 3, third thing that you need to realize, your story connects you to your tribe in some way, shape, or form. And you want to build a team of people. We want to have a community of people, you know, on our upline, downline team that relate to us. And you might think, well, why is that really important? And it's important because we're building this community of trust and support. Imagine having a conversation with somebody that you don't really like. If you ever met someone or you met someone else's friend, they're like, oh, this is my friend so-and-so. And you talk to this person for 30 seconds and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like, stop talking. Like, how is anyone friends with this person? You don't want people like that on your team. That person is someone else's tribe. Other people love that person. You, not so much. So sharing your story helps you find those people that are like-minded to you. You want to be able to have the chance to help people like you because you know what coaching or what these workouts or what this nutrition has done for your life, and you want to share that with other people that are like you and need that for whatever reason. So your story connects you to your tribe, not necessarily somebody else's tribe, which kind of goes back to, you know, recognizing that not everybody's going to connect with you, and that is totally okay. Totally okay when that happens. I know I've shared this in our team page before, so Brooke, you would have seen it. But a lot of times whenever I have conversations with people, I can send the exact same message about the exact same topic. Like it can be related to a personal thing, like running half marathons. It could be a very identical message, and one person like has a very negative reply, like very attacking. And I'm like, why are you so mad at me? Like, all I did was say like, hey, where were you when you ran your first half marathon? And this person freaked out. And somebody else, it starts this great conversation. We start building this great relationship. It was the same message. One of those people is your tribe, and one of them is not, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to pause for a minute. Anyone have anything to share? Any insights that they want to offer about what we talked about so far?
I will tell you, I still struggle with and I don't know so much, I guess it's the same like concept, but like people at work that I have talked to in the past, and they, you know, oh, I can't do Shakeology, or I can't do this, or, oh, can you give me a free sample, or, oh, let's do PiYo after school and all. And now they're doing this something completely, it's the same like concept, but a whole different program, and it worked for them. I really struggle with that. And I tend to shut down a little bit because I'm like, well, you know, why weren't you successful with them? But I think a lot of it goes back to, they're not my tribe. Those aren't the people I need to help. But that's hard to deal with, I think.
It is, especially when it's people that you know personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. And not that I see that happen all the time, but it's definitely happened to me before where, you know, friends of mine, people that I've talked to, people that I know, you know, they're not complete, like I've never met you before in real life. You know, they're like, yeah, I'm not into that. And then 6 months later, they're like, I'm doing Lift 4. And I'm like, yeah. What do you mean? Like, I literally just talked to you about that 6 months ago, and they are signed up with another coach and whatever. And I hear you on that, Jen. Like, that's sometimes a hard pill to swallow. Like, what was wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that they connected better to somebody else. And ultimately, that's what you want. Like, you're not wishing bad thoughts on other people just because they're not your tribe. Like, oh, well, hope you don't get healthy over there at Orange Theory because I don't do that. Like, I may a limp. Like, you would never say that to someone. You want good for them, but it is kind of hard to swallow.
Yeah.
When it's people you know, for sure. For sure. Okay, well, I'm going to leave you guys with 3, maybe it's more of like 3 mindset shifts to get a little more bold. So maybe it's not like do this and you'll be bold. It's more like think about sharing your story in this way and it might help you. So 3 more things, I guess. These are short and sweet. The first one I wrote, and I kind of based this off of, Jen, you might have heard before. It's like the feel, felt, found, right? So the first one is think about you are talking to you from the past. So you know how somebody else feels because you've been there, right? So you're talking to you from the past. You don't have to worry about, you know, what if this person doesn't like me? If you're on your Instagram story or if you're doing Facebook Live, you're just talking to your phone, right? So you're talking to you from the past. Or if you're writing up a post for, you know, whatever platform, or you're writing a blog post or whatever it is, you're talking to you from the past. So hopefully that helps you think, okay, that's not intimidating. It's like writing in a diary. Like I'm talking to myself from the past. Number 2 way, you are talking to you right now, but without what you have to offer. So imagine being in this same stage of life, but you don't have the healthy habits. You don't have the workout routine. You don't have this supportive community. So same stage of life that you're in right now, but without the benefits that you are trying to offer to somebody else. So an example would be, so me right now, I'm somebody who just got married. I moved this past year, new job life, new friend, community in a new town. I live away from my family, things like that. That would be me without what I have now. So what keeps me motivated to get up every day is, well, if I didn't have my supportive community to check in with every morning, I could be depressed about having no friends or no one to hang out with or no one to check in with. I could eat really unhealthy, and then my new husband and I would be miserable because we'd be eating out all the time. We wouldn't feel good about our bodies. Like, we wouldn't have a lot of energy to go out and do new things together. So you, in the same phase of life, but without what you have to offer, how would you be feeling? And then number 3 is just thinking about the fact that you are going to change someone's life because you know what you found, right? You found it. You found this community. You found a routine that works for you. You found simple nutrition that gets you healthier. You found it. You're going to be able to change someone's life with this stuff, which is crazy when you think about it. But I mean, Brooke, you're in our challenge group. I'm sure like you'll see people posting there all the time, like huge victories in their personal life or their fitness life, or they did something new for the first time, or they have all this energy, or they're so thankful for our community because other people aren't supportive. I mean, you're changing someone's life. And if you don't share part of your story to connect with those people, who knows when they'll get on the right track. I think one thing that we talk about a lot of the times, especially when we go to Summit and things like that, you always hear stories, National Wake Up Call. Nobody ever says, I wish I would have waited to get healthier. I wish I would have waited to, be a part of this community. I wish I didn't have that in my life for a longer period of time. No, opposite. Everyone's like, oh, if I had only known, think of where I would have been had I known so much earlier. So you're helping to provide that for somebody. And if you don't share your story to connect with those people, then you're doing not only yourself, but them, a disservice to you. So sorry if those weren't very, not literate, clear, concise. It was hard to put into words what I was thinking, I guess.
No, but I think you're giving us a new way to think about it. And just like you said, a different shift instead of, because I know that sometimes when I post, I forget to go back and talk to that person I used to be. But I like this one about talking to the person I am now, but without this healthy habit that I have created for myself. And I think that that's a really good way to think about it, how to add more, not volume, add more like legitness to your post. That's not what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean. What's the word I'm looking for?
Like value?
Maybe that's the word, value to your post. Thank you. Yeah. Legitness.
Because I know what you're saying. Like, I mean, it's not that different to think about you without the healthy things. Just think of someone that is in the same phase of life that you are, but doesn't have everything that you have. And how much different your life looks than somebody else's. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, Brooke, especially like in your scenario in particular, there's tons of girls who are out of high school, starting college, trying to be an adult, trying to get their life together, probably don't have any money. Like, there's a lot of people in that phase of life. And it's so easy to just be like, well, this is just how my life is supposed to be right now. Like, this is what everyone does.
I know. Like they don't really, like they kind of like complain about stuff and they like don't really do anything. And so like that's also why I'm like I'm trying to like share my journey, but I'm doing it my way and like the slowest way I can possible to kind of like make me more motivated and comfortable, so I don't like, you know, get out there and then I don't really know what to do and I'm like in shock. You know, I just want to do it at my own pace, like where I feel comfortable. And I feel like a lot of the people that want to be helped, like they'll reach out if they really like want like to know what I'm doing. And like even before I actually like wanted to get out and like you know, try to like reach out to people, people were actually reaching out to me versus me having to do it. So that's also what's kind of like awesome, is like just like sharing, and then people are just like interested and like inspired by you.
For
And you're not
sure. And
trying.
it's that consistency. Like, you know that you're doing something good for you and you're showing up for yourself every day, and other people see that you're showing up for yourself every day. So it benefits you and it benefits them in the long run, because they're like, oh, well, if
Yeah.
she can do it, I can do it. You know, and that's exactly what sharing your journey and your story is all about. Like, it's your own pace. It's not the same as anybody else. It's going to look totally different than, you know, the coach next to you. But I think that's the awesome part of this business, is that it's exactly why everybody can be successful, and success doesn't play favorites in this business, because we're not all the same. And if we were, that'd be a huge problem, you know, because our market would get really small. So anyway, that's all I have to share with you all.
Good, Kelsey. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. I'm going to stop recording.